starting an Inter Milan Career Mode in FC25 is a great choice for those looking for a unique and realistic challenge built around a different kind of squad building model. Over the past 5 years, Inter have achieved major success through a smart, pragmatic transfer approach, targeting experienced players on low-cost deals or free transfers to maintain a high-performing, seasoned squad. Currently locked in a dramatic title race with Napoli and set to play a huge Champions League final against PSG, this season could be up there as one of the most iconic in the club's history, especially if all goes according to plan. With that context in mind, this is how you can kick off a realistic Inter Milan career mode under Simone Inzaghi. Now, when kicking off the career mode, one of the first things to try and sort out is the stadium. With EA no longer holding the rights to the San Siro, recreating a version of the iconic ground becomes the first order of business. The best stadium to use as a base is the Waldstadion, as it visually offers the closest match in terms of structure and scale. Of course, you would need to rename it the San Siro to maintain the immersion. Next up is the seating customization. While the real-life San Siro features a mix of red, blue, green, and yellow, the game obviously does not allow for multicolor seating, but a good workaround would be to set the seats to blue, helping to reflect Inter's identity. As for the rest of the stadium, the San Siro has striking red poles along the roof, but in-game adding red would dominate the look too much, so keeping the upper parts of the stadium grey is a solid compromise. Now, it's not a perfect replica, but it's definitely a more authentic option than settling for a default ground. Next up is the team and the tactics. And with the career mode under Simone Inzaghi, it's important to try and play his brand of football to fully immerse yourself in a realistic career mode save. Inzaghi's Inter play a well-drilled 3-5-2 system built on defensive solidity, intelligent positional play, and fast vertical transitions. The wingbacks are essential in both phases of play, providing width and driving the team forward. In possession, Inter are patient and methodical, often drawing the opposition out before quickly exploiting space through sharp one-touch combinations and late midfield runs. And I've already created the best and most realistic Inter Milan tactics for FC25. So I'd advise that you guys go and take a look at that video as well as the YouTube shorts with the updated version of those tactics. And this can help create the realistic parameters for the on-field play under Simone Inzaghi. The next area of the career mode that needs to be set up is the Youth Academy. And while it's not yet a major component of the first team for Inter Milan, it could become a vital part to the club's long-term strategy. Setting up a scouting network in Italy is important to reflect the club's local talent recruitment approach. And you should be looking for a ball-playing defender at centre-back, a deep-lying playmaker from central midfield, and an advanced forward at striker. Utilizing the youth to strengthen these key positions in your first team squad may be the best approach going forward. The other two scouting spots are flexible and can be tailored based on individual preferences, but keeping them within Europe or maybe extending one of them to North America could help uncover a mix of technically gifted and physically strong prospects for the future. Moving on to the Inter Milan first team squad, and there are currently 37 players on the first team books, with 13 of that 37 currently being out on loan. Some of those players do have a long-term future in Simone Inzaghi's plans, whilst others might be sold on in the summer to try and add to the transfer funds to bring in new players. So we are going to run through the entire team from the goalkeepers all the way to the strikers and discuss the various players, who might stay, who might go, and who might be extended for the foreseeable future. Of course, I'm not an Inter Milan fan, and if you are, let me know down below your thoughts and opinions, and we can have a friendly conversation about it. Now, it's only right to kick things off with the goalkeeper, and Inter currently have 4 goalkeepers. The first being Yann Sommer, who is the outright number 1, second being Di Gennaro, who is the third choice keeper and is currently set to have his deal expire, but Inter are looking to extend him for a further year, so I would strongly suggest you doing so yourself. Then there's Martinez, who is the second choice keeper, and lastly is Stankovic, who is out on loan at Venezia. And according to multiple outlets and reports, he will be staying at Venezia after the season, as they will look to finalize the transfer deal. So moving him on will be an order of business that you need to execute. Now, I just want to talk about Yann Sommer. He has been one of the best goalkeepers in Europe this past season, if not the best goalkeeper to some people. He has come up with crucial saves in big games, and is a large reason as to why they are in the Champions League final. And I would just like to highlight that he was brought in for around 5 to 10 million euros after Inter Milan had sold Andre Onana to Manchester United for around 50. And that in itself highlights the business strategy behind Inter Milan's success. For the left back, there is currently Federico Di Marco as well as Carboni. Now, he too will also be sold to Venezia in the summer, so looking to shift him out the door will be one of your transfer priorities. As for Di Marco, I don't think that he would be sold, but just like with every other Inter Milan player, they do have their price. So for example, if a club was to come in and slap down 80 million on the table, Di Marco would most likely be sold for that amount of money, as Inter have shown in the past that no player is untouchable. They sold Hakimi the summer after winning the Scudetto to PSG for around 70 million, and I think the same could be said with players players like DeMarco. Now, it should also be stated that there are players that we will discuss later on down the line that can also play in this left wing-back role. Players like Carlos Augusto, and even the on-loan Roma player Zalewski. There are currently 8 centre-backs on the first team books, which makes a lot of sense because of the back 3 system that Inzaghi does run. But 3 of those players are out on loan and will most likely be sold. But for the players currently playing under Inzaghi, there's Stefan de Vrij, who is set to have his deal expire in the summer. But again, just like with Di Gennaro, he has been offered a 1-year extension that will see him play through the 25-26 season. The other centre-back options are Acerbi, Benjamin Pavard, Alessandro Bastoni, and Bissek. And I don't think that any of those 5 players would be sold in the upcoming window. But again, if a club were to come in with a large amount of money, it could tempt Inter into a sale for one of their key defenders. As for Van Haysden, Palacios, and Fontana Rossa, from what I've been able to find, it seems like all 3 of these players could possibly be sold. But there are also reports, especially for Fontana Rossa, that have stated that he could possibly stay. But of course, if you are an Inter Milan fan, you'll know a lot more than me, so let me know down below in the comment section, does Fontana Rossa stay or does he go? To round off the defense is the right back position, and there's currently Matteo Darmian as well as Denzel Dumfries, who has arguably been the best right back in European football this season, especially when it comes to the output that he produces. I'm talking goals and assists. And I think it's safe to say that both of these players won't be going anywhere, especially with the unique versatility that a player like Matteo Darmian does have. He's been deployed in the back line, specifically the back 3, as well as he has been able to feature out on the wing when rotating with Denzel Dumfries. And I do think that that will continue going forward. As we approach the midfield, at the base of it sits Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who has been a crucial factor in making this Inter Milan side have the immense fluidity that it has been able to show over the last couple of seasons. The Turkish international has been able to establish pure dominance for the side and has allowed the team to maintain that fluidity. We've often been able to see the midfield and the defense interchanging positions throughout the course of a game, and is largely down to the press resistance of Hakan Çalhanoğlu, as he is often seen dropping into the backline to help create and build up from the deeper spaces, as well as he does have the opportunities to get forward and help add to the attack. This is a player that signifies Inter Milan's overall transfer strategy. He was signed on a free from their crosstown rivals AC Milan, but during his time at Inter, he has been repositioned you could say. At AC Milan and Bayer Leverkusen, he was deployed as an 8 or even a 10, whereas under Inzaghi, he's been deployed as an out-and-out number 6, capable of running the game for his team and setting the tempo for them. His backup is Aslani, who definitely does have a long-term future for this side. At 23, he's still learning the ropes for this position and has been able to provide a different edge when he's on the field. Another defensive midfielder on the first team box is Alexander Stankovic. Now, he is a player that Inter Milan believe could be the future of that central defensive midfield area, and he's most likely going to be loaned out for next season. And according to reports, Stuttgart are very much involved in trying to get him to Germany. Onto both Carlos Augusto as well as Zalewski, and both of these players can successfully back up the flanks, Zalewski being able to do so on the left and the right, whilst Carlos Augusto has the versatility to be deployed in the back line as that third centre-back on the left, or even successfully replacing DeMarco as the left back. These are 2 fantastic weapons that Inzaghi has been able to utilize successfully this season. Now, in terms of Zalewski's loan from Roma, it is looking like he will be staying on a permanent transfer come the end of the season. So that already is one deal that Inter will look to execute, and so should you. Moving on to the central midfielders, and there's Akin Sanmiro, Mkhitaryan, Zielinski, Barella, and Fratesi. Now, in terms of the young Nigerian central midfielder currently out on loan at Sampdoria, there is a buy clause in the loan agreement, and I haven't really been able to find out if he will be staying at Inter come next season, or if Sampdoria may trigger the transfer clause. So again, if you are an Inter fan, you will know more than me about this situation. Please let me know down below in the comment section. As for the mainstay number 8s at Inter Milan, there's currently Mkhitaryan, Zielinski, Barella, and of course Fratesi. Now, 2 of these players are linked with moves away from the club in the summer, the first being Fratesi and the second being Zielinski. Now, both of these players were signed on permanent deals last summer, and they are currently in 2 different situations. There have been reports stating that Inter are looking to shift Zielinski out the door as he hasn't been able to impress them as much as what they would have hoped, and he has had a few injuries this season which have made him somewhat unreliable to the board. Whereas Davide Fratesi, on the other hand, is complaining about the lack of game time and minutes that he has received this season. So Inter are trying to somewhat keep him in their squad as they do like him, but there is a lot of interest around the Italian international, and he has been linked with several Premier League clubs. So if the price is right, Inter will look to sell him, but it should be stated that they are definitely trying to keep Davide Fratesi. Whereas Zielinski, on the other hand, I think is a bit more of a 50-50 decision. They have just signed him, so there is that in his favor, but if he's not rated by either the manager or the board, it makes total sense to try and shift him out and make a profit on the deal. And then there is Valentin Carboni, who could be molded into either a striker or possibly a right midfielder. I personally think he does have the attacking prowess to be the certified backup for Lautaro Martinez, that false 9 type striker that can drop into the midfield and help link up play, while still being an elite threat in the box. So possibly looking to change his position either into a striker or a right midfielder. could see him fit into Inzaghi's side better. Two players that look set to lead the club in the summer are Buchanan and Kamate, as Buchanan hasn't been able to work out as a wingback in Inzaghi's system, and therefore he was loaned out to Villarreal, and Inter will be looking to shift him out the door come the transfer window. Inter Milan have got a lot of strikers on their books, but there are 5 that Inzaghi currently uses. There's Arnautovic, Correa, Thuram, Martinez, and Taremi. Now both Arnautovic as well as Correa are set to depart Inter Milan after their contracts expire, meaning that there would only be 3 strikers available to Inzaghi. But of course, there's also Esposito, who's out on loan at Empoli, Satriano, who's out on loan at RC Lens, and then Francesco Pio Esposito, who is on loan at Spezia. Now, according to reports, this Esposito will be coming back in the summer and will be a part of the first team next season, whereas Satriano will be sold to RC Lens for around 5 million euros, and Sebastiano Esposito will also most likely be sold. And with simple maths, it means that there will be 4 strikers available to Inzaghi, and that does mean that they will be looking to buy one in the summer window. And the last segment of this video, we will be discussing realistic transfers that could happen over the upcoming months. Now, these are players that have been linked with moves to Inter Milan via reports, as well as 1 or 2 options that I have put on this list that I can just see working out in Simone Inzaghi's plans. Now, it should also be stated that signing some of these players would have a knock-on effect on the overall squad. For example, signing Molina for that right-back position would most likely mean that Matteo Darmian would only be deployed as a centre-back going forward. And I do think that signing the Argentine right-back would be a fantastic bit of business, but it also needs to be stated that Inter are also going to be signing Zalewski come the summer window, and you don't want to try and overload your flank regions, as there is a lot of harmony in the current squad with the players and the rotations that are happening, so you wouldn't want to cause an upset by overloading certain positions. Now, Inter are currently linked with 2 centre-backs, De Winter as well as Badiashile. Now, in my opinion, Badiashile makes a lot of sense as he is a left-footed centre-back, and of course there is Bastoni, who is one of the best left-footed centre-backs in the world, and backing him up could be a Carlos Augusto, but having a solid left-footed backup option for Bastoni makes total sense, and Badiashile's time in the Premier League hasn't really worked out that well, and because of this, it could be a fantastic deal that Inter could look to capitalize on. And you could argue the same for De Winter, who could develop into one of the world's best centre-backs. Now, if the club are set to sell one of their key centre-back options, I'm not talking about Pavard or Acerbi or even De Vrij, but there have been rumours linking Bissek with various moves to various clubs all over Europe, and if the price is right, like I've consistently mentioned, they could sell a player like Bissek and replace him with another great young player in Koni De Winter. Then there's Luis Henrique, who according to reports is very much keen on a move to Inter Milan, and I think that this signing would add another layer of attacking prowess to the side, as he can play down either flank and is very good at creating crossing opportunities out of nothing. And if you look at how Luis Henrique has been deployed at Olympique de Marseille under De Zerbi, it's very similar to how Inter Milan's wingbacks do play. Now, a deal that I think screams Inter Milan is potentially signing Luka Modric. He is set to depart from Real Madrid, confirmed just yesterday, and he will be available on a free. Of course, he is up there in age at almost 40 years old, but if Inter sell a player like Zielinski or maybe even Davide Fratese, bringing in a player like Luka Modric, who can be subtly rotated between Mkhitaryan and Barella, could be a savvy bit of business, at least for the next season. And again, he would be on a free. There's also another Croatian that is confirmed to be signing for Inter Milan in the upcoming window, as I think the deal has already been agreed, and that is Petar Susic, a young 21-year-old central midfielder that could come in and add extreme depth to the side. So I would advise that you go ahead and sign him, as this is a deal that is confirmed to happen. Now, I have seen multiple reports stating that Inter Milan are also interested in Nico Paz, but so is every other club in Europe. He is a fantastic talent that could definitely improve the side, but there is the small clause that Real Madrid do have with their deal with Como, stating that they can buy Nico Paz back immediately. But again, I have him down on this list because he has definitely been linked with a move to the club. And lastly is the striker position. A lot of reports have stated that Inter Milan are looking for 2 strikers, but in my opinion, it's most likely going to be just 1, unless they do find someone on a free, which I do have on this list. So kicking things off, there's Johan Bonni, followed up by Rasmus Højlund, and then lastly is Jonathan David, who could be got on a free, just like with Luka Modric and just like with other successful transfers that Inter have found in the past. But of course, Jonathan David has also been linked with a move to Napoli, so there will be some competition for the signing of the Canadian. But just taking it back to Bonni and Rasmus Højlund, now these are 2 players that I see being perfect backup options for Marcus Thuram, having the physicality and athleticism to be a fantastic backup for the Frenchman. These are 2 players that could be fantastic options off the bench. And in Rasmus Højlund's case, it does seem like Manchester United are looking to sell him for a cut price fee. So just like with the Badiashile Chelsea situation, they could look to capitalize and exploit a transfer deal. And there we go, people. That is how you can start a realistic Inter Milan Career Mode with Simone Inzaghi. I do hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you don't mind smashing that like button down below, whilst also subscribing if you are new. And if you're too afraid to subscribe just yet, take a look at a few other videos and then you can make your decision. Now, for those of you who may be interested in some extra content over the weekends, I have created the Brom Squad Gaming Patreon, where I also make various other tactics, more so retro tactics, but I am thinking of incorporating other video ideas onto that platform. So if you are interested in something like that, it is paid for, but the link for that will be down below in the description, right next to the link for the Brom Squad Gaming Discord, where we chat everything IRL football as well as FC25 and in the future FC26 and maybe even FIFA 26 and all that good stuff. So if you would be interested in that, it is for free. You can join up and I welcome everybody and anybody. Anyways, until the next time, until the next one, I hope you have a smashing goddamn day, and I'm out of here. Peace.